Wow, when you lose Chalk Tud, you are in trouble. That's like your wife testifying against you in court, Dana. That's like you just turned on his family, Chalk Tud.
I think that I see a possible character on the exclamation point.
Chalk Tud is the greatest name I've ever come up with.
I think it's pretty good, pretty good. So the chaos that Biden is experiencing right now is exactly what he campaigned against.
Right.
So he was supposed to be the steady hand on the wheel, and he was going to be boring.
Right.
Especially on foreign policy. Everything, remember, he gave the speech on February 4th, America is back. Now we have this absolute mess in Afghanistan. We just showed you what's happening on the border. And our oldest ally, France, is calling us names that they used to reserve just for President Trump.
Exactly.
So things are not exactly going well. The best thing, I guess, for the Biden administration, when all of this came down, it was late on a Friday. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that the president wanted to right the ship by giving a speech on COVID boosters. And then it turns out that he put the cart in front of the horse.
Mm-hmm.
Ever heard that one?
I coined
that.
And
yes, and so now he's going to try to give a climate speech tomorrow.
Right.
In the meantime, all these other things are happening. But Biden's political erosion prevents the Democrats from taking it to the Republicans on the debt ceiling, or for the Democrats to get any traction on its legislative agenda, which is completely falling apart before our eyes.
I love how you worked in erosion after talking about climate change. That's why you sit there, right?
I don't know.
Is that the best
I didn't
seat?
plan it.
Yes. So you didn't plan that? I thought that. Dagan, here's my theory. The only reason the media is calling this stuff out is because they have no choice. They're kind of backed into a corner here. They thought they could drag Joe across the finish line, but they can't anymore. So now they're just letting him drop.
Right. And they will talk about credibility. Well, why weren't you talking about that when Joe Biden stood up in front of the American people during the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal and said Al-Qaeda's not in Afghanistan anymore? Oh, and Americans can get to the airport in Kabul and our allies are with us. It's just the Biden administration, Joe et al., they stand up and just lie over and over again and act like we don't know the truth or can see the truth. So CNN had a full screen of all of the issues this morning, like rebuke of immigration bill, in the list. It's under Biden headaches. So the crisis at the Texas bridge, that sounds like there is like a big pothole on the bridge that needs some quickcrete put into. So, or the civilians, the drone strike kills civilians under headache. No, a headache is putting together this seating chart for your daughter's wedding.
Right.
These are disasters. Let's call it what it is.
They're looking through a political lens, like, oh, this must be really hard for our favorite guy. But it's like, no, this is actual tragedies, crimes, injustice going on. Jessica, as America is, you are with child. We won't get into the effects on the climate.
Of me overpopulating?
Yes, but when your child is born, how will you explain to him or her why you voted for Joe Biden?
We have cuter swag on the Democratic side. She'll be in her little gender reveal.
But it must be hard for you.
Oh, my God.
You did that to yourself.
I know.
Kind of like Joe Biden.
Self-inflicted.
But we are so excited.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's a girl.
She's going to be enormous. I do want to say
Your
two
husband's
things.
massive.
He's
You're huge. I mean, in a statuesque way. You're going to have a
Right.
linebacker.
You're taking a cute moment and going down the wrong. No huge
That's what
on
I
the
do.
lady front, especially pregnant. Two things.
But by comparison, I mean,
Yeah,
in his defense.
I'm dwarfish.
We'll talk about. I will talk about Joe Biden's problems now. So Chuck Todd, I feel like when people use him as an example, it's like when people hold up Jennifer Rubin and they say, like, conservatives are turning on Trump. Like, Chuck Todd loves to play the both sides game. But there are definitely the headaches are bad. And the drone strike, even though this does happen regularly, and it has since, the mid-2010s, when you hear 7 kids passed away and there were no ISIS-K fighters gotten for that, that is something that I think can stick with you, not necessarily bring down an administration. But that's something that does stand out on the list of, like, not a normal headache.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And there has to be something we can do for their families, whether it means bringing them here. Seems like the only right thing to do. Jesse, the UN is meeting this week, which raises the question, why?
It's a good question. I'm thinking traffic, so I'm going to have to make plans. But I was thinking Joe's now just, instead of fixing problems, he's creating problems. And little Jesse Jr. peeked his head out of the crib today and he said, Dad, the only thing Joe Biden knows how to fix his elections. I said, Jesse Jr.
How dare he?
What show have you been watching? He said, Dad, I'm watching The King of Late Night. I said, who, Kimmel? No, he said exclamation point. But it's true. What he does, I mean, at least the economy's good, right, Dagan? Did you see the market today? I think Gutfeld lost $16 million.
That is China's fault.
I have to sell my 5th home.
That's true.
Stagflation.
All the wage gains are getting wiped out by inflation, and now his spending bill, as Anna said, is hanging in the balance. He's taking orders from the Taliban. We're getting hacked into smithereens by the Russians. The cartel controls our border. He can't even get on the phone to the allies and say, hey, guys, heads up on the pipeline or the nuke sub deal. Or he can't even be bothered to do that. And the guy has no juice with our enemies either. Mexico says no on the border. Iran said no on the nuke deal. OPEC said no on no more oil production. Who says yes to Joe? The chef at the White House? No one says yes to Joe. And then the AP comes out and they say, Joe Biden is suffering from some setbacks. As if setbacks are something you can catch like a cold. Like, oh, yeah, he's got a case of the setbacks. Don't worry about that. This is how the people feel, Greg. Let me speak for the people. The people feel like we just signed a quarterback who can't run or throw, and the season just started.
You know what you compare? It's an inverse of setbacks. Every time something small happened under the Trump administration, the world was exploding.
Chaos.
The world was chaos. And then when something actually big happens here, it's just a setback.
Just a
Just a little setback. Just a headache.
Take two and call us in the morning.
Exactly.